a bang here to totally own IDO. We are going to go to a second game after this, of course, as is the way the best of two format coming in here. So we'll have to see if IDO has some other ideas coming into that next game.
We need to see Shall We not be out of position, not make crazy risk plays like that, because that was Shall We was basically feeding in that game. I mean, I don't like to use that term very often, but I mean, she gave a lot of gold, always out of position, giving you know, that free gold. Also, obviously being removed means they can actually take objectives easier without her. Yeah. And Guest just ran through the jungle like both jungles were theirs. There was no IDO jungle that game. There were two Guest jungles.
I mean, to be honest, the synergy between the jungle and Roam, the Rona and the Catherine there, it was non-existent, okay? It was just not happening. We were going to jump to a replay. Like, look at this. Catherine's just sitting in the bush waiting to bait or something, but Rona takes way too much damage, and now Catherine's on the run once again.
Yeah. And there you go. We can basically recap some of these fights, but NNDW, alone, Jewel is zoned out. Dead.
Rona's on the other side of the map trying to steal some farm, but Catherine, you know, shouldn't be that forward all by herself. Or
if Rona's doing that, then you have two in the lane, so that it puts pressure, so that, you know, Guest actually feels like, oh, we got to worry about the lane and also the minion mine. We got to make some choices. If you just walk through the jungle without vision, well, one of your members is gone. You're asking for trouble, especially when you're as far down as they were.
That was the team fight where Shall We was kind of just standing there, and Guest was able to take a 2-on-3 victory. They're taking out one member. Jewel just barely surviving.
By the way, happy Halloween to everybody. On the Halcyon pool, as we see the jack-o'-lanterns. I love that touch.
They're still there.
Things just got worse and worse for IDO here as the 8-0 gave a huge item advantage. Look at this, even with Big Red Button, it's like, that's not enough damage to do anything to this team that's way overfarmed. 3,000 gold ahead before 8 minutes.
Yeah, the Big Red Button should not be used there by the Red Jewel. I mean, you have to be in the fight landing Thunder Strikes, you have to be doing DPS with your weapon build, but instead he moves back to try to gain a good Big Red Button plays. I'm not really sure. It doesn't seem like he has much experience on the hero.
Right, well, the problem is when you use Big Red Button, if they avoid it, first of all, or if you're not building that way, then you're simply just disabling yourself for the fight. You know, you're actually in the Big Red Button animation for that duration. And it is a great ultimate ability. It's not, you know, underpowered or anything like that. It's just, that was not the right place. And we saw that utilized like that a few times in this previous game.
Yeah. It's good when you're weapon powered Jewel, when you're Red Jewel, to just, you know, if there's someone trying to run away, then you use it, but not at the beginning of the fight like that. So, bit of a mistake there. We see the dive from Guest as well. Work out. This is a push here, the gauntlet, catching two of the members. Nice reflex block there from the Jewel to kind of get out alive, but they still do lose a couple of members here.
Yeah. She's playing, I mean, obviously when you're this far behind, it's tough to actually be up in the fray like this, but Jewel's passive is that she's got armor play in front of her, so, you know, if she's up in the front, she can actually do auto attacks and sustain a little bit of damage. She's playing almost as if she's like Celeste and she's trying to be, you know, damaging from behind.
Look at the build also from Jewel, actually building a Sorrow Blade into a piercing item as well for crystal power. So, I mean, kind of confused about what kind of Jewel he wanted to go, as well, kind of a hybrid Jewel in this game.
Yeah, wasn't it? I mean, I feel like she would definitely want to overdrive Big Red Button based on what she's trying to build, but they didn't get that far, so unfortunately it's not going to matter. And this is the ending moment there, but in just a moment, we're going to get into the next drafting phase of this game to see what sort of team compositions these teams are going to play. I have a hunch we're going to see Guest run the same. They're going to bring Fortress again.
They're going to bring Celeste. Yeah. That I know. Unless they're going to try to fool around because they feel like they're the much better team. They're like, oh, you know, whatever. But they don't want to throw away any games as well. You know, maybe IDO is like, oh, we messed it up. We got to play much better. So I would expect, as you said, just a very standard composition from Guest.
If they get the same opportunity to run the same three heroes, I think they will. Just simply because we're still in blind pick and they might expect the same composition from their opponents. We'll see how the bans go, because I feel like we could maybe even see a ban on Celeste. That's what I'd be thinking if I'm IDO. I mean, they used Celeste really well already. You know, they used her decently well in the first two games, even though they lost. Obviously, it's what he really prefers. But we have actually the same bands. As you can see, Sky and Cruel. And little Andy instantly goes for his Celeste. We're going to see Rona, though, this time, from AAA Anthony and Arden. Whereas we are going to see, I can see the other teams, we are going to see Glaive.
Yeah, we got Glaive, Arden, and Jewel there
Okay.
on the opposite side. So once again, going for a very heavy engage composition, very tanky one, trying to just do a lot of damage up front. So we'll see how that does work out.
Guest wants that 3 points because they lost, you know, they got 0 points in the previous match. Let's see how aggressive Guest is going to be in the early game as well, because that's how they started to snowball things out of control in that last game. What they were unable to do versus the previous team they just faced.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. We are actually seeing Shall We move on to the roam position. We saw in their introductions that they can switch it up. So maybe they were saying, okay, you played not the best Rona there. Let's switch you to the Arden. You know, it's a pretty simple hero. You can, you know, help out your own teammates. You throw down a good gauntlet, and you're good to go. Whereas Rona is a very complex one. You got to be up in their face. You have to have very good stutter set micro. You have to land very good red miss and just be in their face in general. So we'll see if Poikrike, or rather NNDW, can do a better job here on the jungle.
Well, they actually knocked BMG the wrong way out of the fight there with Glaive's afterburn, and that kind of hurts. Shalwi's taking a lot of damage, though, and it actually retreating now back towards the wrong side of things. Does peel as a result. Will NNDW actually escape? Looks like he will.
Just barely there with only like 10 health. Look at
Shall
this,
we, though, will not.
Yeah.
Sorry, shall we? Buying some time, but not gonna get out of that one. Rona said no.
Yeah. AAA Anthony just gonna run over there and begin to farm up once again as well. So, totally fine. Now Poikrai getting kind of a not the best position here in the lane. He does have a big wave though coming towards him, so actually pretty good position after all.
Yeah, he just needs to make sure he gets all those last hits. But those are guys who don't know Vainglory, haven't played it yet, if you're just kind of checking it out. One of the cool things about the game is when you actually have a last hit available, the minion will actually take a different color, so you can actually tell that you can last hit at that moment. The health bar will change as well.
Changes to like a bright red color.
Yeah,
I guess.
It's really, really cool that's a feature. I really like that. Because, I mean, if you're a high-level player, last hitting is not a challenge for you, but if you're trying to learn the game, you're trying to play on a new device, you know, it can be a bit challenging.
I mean, if you're a high-level player, also, it's not going to bother you that that's there.
Yeah,
It'll be like
exactly.
a slight help. It's like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter. But for a newer player, it's like a huge boon, a huge benefit. So definitely like that addition to the game.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite features.
IDO is trying to set up the giant gank there in the lane. It's not going to work out. They're once again just going to try to counter jungle. This time, NNDW and Shalby are at least going to be together.
Guest has a scout trap. They have vision, and, you know, Poikrai does escape here, but that was a really scary moment because it, you know, they were trying to do something. Their plan was read like an open book with that scout trap. We're seeing, again, lots of good scout trap coverage from Guest. We're seeing them use flares, obviously not this early in the game, but, you know, through the mid-game last game, every time they invaded the jungle, they had flare coverage, and Shalby, again, is going to go down easily. And that'll make his second death so far in this game.
Yeah. I feel like all Guest has to do is play very solid like they did in that last game, and it should be an easy win for them here in game number 2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds sad to call a game like 3 minutes and 40 seconds in, but things are not looking good already here.
Well, it seems like IDO likes to play this very gimmicky style where they either go for the giant gank or they go for the big counter jungle. And they end up just running away a lot of the time. As we see here, they engage, but now they're kind of just running away. It seems like NNW is going to try to engage here onto little Andy, but has no follow-up. Jewel does go down, and now they're on the run again.
Oh, Boots also chasing down Shalwy. Can he get another one of those Heliogenesises? Oh, just barely not able to connect it the way he wanted to. This is little Andy's view again on that iPhone 6. And down goes Andy. Or excuse me, NNDW. Andy is fine currently, actually just taking a ton of farm in the mid lane. I say mid lane, but the lane.
The one lane.
The fast lane to victory in this case. It's the Autobahn, man. They're taking it speedy, man.
Yeah.
So much farm here.
Look Look at this Poikrai just kind of standing there, not really sure what's going on. Little Andy.
I think he's trying to bait him or something for the stun.
He counters with a bit of a recall of his own. Doesn't actually go for it, kind of fooling around a bit here in the lane.
We'll see Byungji just drop down that shield just to make sure he can recall safely. And I go ahead and buy here in the jungle shop. And this game so far has been, you know, an early lead for Guess, but it has not snowballed out of control as quickly as the previous set. So we're seeing this kind of calm down, slow down for a moment.
Yeah, it seems like IDO is kind of getting the idea that they can't go too crazy with the counter jungling. They're just trying to jungle in their own jungle, get their back minions here. But Guess is doing a good job of exploiting their weaknesses and their obvious like lack of team play here, and just, you know, going in saying, hey, you know, we can just take everything, it's fine. You see Rona all the way in the back of the IDO jungle, whereas the 3 members of IDO, they're sticking together this time, but they're not doing much here in the lane.
They're losing objectives because their jungle is being taken from them. So staying together isn't being very helpful for them. We're going to see a big engage here again, targeting NNDW. He does attempt to escape. We'll be able to do so initially, but lost so much health in the process. It looks like they're just going to turret dive this. I think it's not going to work out, not quite as ahead as they were in the previous game, where they will back off and disengage as a result. They keep looking for opportunities, though, to punish IDO here. And they've got IDO right where they want them.
They picked a very standard comp, but they don't need to do this. You know, they could just go back, get their jungle farm, and then push the turret. But they're kind of saying, okay, you guys are a weak team. We're gonna dive your turrets. We're gonna take you out over and over.
Well, I mean, one of the weaknesses of doing something like this is when you're under the turret, you don't need to have all 3 members together because you're under the turret, right? But if all 3 members are together, then you're like, I'm not losing anything. They're not taking our jungle. They're not taking objectives with that 3rd hero. They're not going to get a mini mine. They're not going to go farm the jungle alone. While we missed the opportunity because we have all 3 in the lane. And so, oh, little Andy getting pretty low here. Actually might go down. Nope.
He still
There's
jukes
Arden.
him out of the way. The big red button doesn't get the kill. And little Andy saying, okay, Poikrai, I don't care if you're in my face trying to kill me. I'm still going to get away with no energy, no health.
Just going back to what I was saying to finish that thought, though, if you know all 3 are in the lane and you're in the lane and you're ahead in items, you know, XP levels, then yeah, you're always going to win fights. Even if there's a turret there, you can actually just kind of ignore it as long as you rotate properly and continue to keep them where you're just beating them, you know? If you have a 3v3 where you're ahead and it just keeps staying that way, you're going to get further ahead, whereas if IDO sends one of their members to jungle during that time and 2v3s under turret and tanks it, that's how, you know, they can get behind. But because IDO isn't rotating like that, they just keep fighting in the lane and they just keep pushing towards that Vein Crystal.
We do see a sizable lead already, 2k gold. They have gotten a gold mine completed here for Guest, and they're going to slowly build that up.
Even clearing the minion wave with Poikrai's rocket jump.
We're actually having Rona go crystal power here, picking up an alternating current. I'm not sure about this. I don't think that's very standard. I mean, it's decently viable, but I think weapon power Rona is better.
Yeah, well, we are going to see down goes the gauntlet, but Guest disengages really well here. A good opportunity for IDO, especially with Glaive's engage here. But look at this. Look at how little Andy escapes to the left side. And NDW barely goes down there, but we will see little Andy fall as well, showing some of the weaknesses of his Celeste yet again here in this game. Looks like Poikrai is going to fall down as well, though. Well, maybe not.
Just barely. You know, it is still pretty early on in the game, so Guest has to be careful about how far they dive in. As we were mentioning before, not quite going to work out just an even trade and actually getting the worse end of that, having lower health, but it seems like IDO not too confident to stay. Guest does have to back off now as Glaive does join the fight once again.
Yeah. They're just going to, on their way out, take all the jungle farm, though. And continue to press their advantage. They haven't, you know, pushed it too far in this game. The gold mine is halfway mined. Now, you see little Andy is back now, as you mentioned before. Let's see if they actually take this next fight here. They are moving towards the lane where Jewel is alone.
Yeah, not too far up, actually going to back off just in time. I don't think they had vision of that, but you could definitely tell that IDO is trying to play a bit more passive in this game. And I do like that. That's part of what didn't go quite well in that last one. But a gauntlet going to come down.
Double stun gauntlet, forcing Jewel to actually rocket jump to escape. No deaths, though. And some really well-placed scout traps here actually going to slow down the push.
Going to blow up the entire wave, and that's going to push Guest back once again. Not really going to be able to take out any of those members.
Oh my god, and down goes the Solar Storm.
And down goes Jewel as well. So there you have it, finally getting that kill, and maybe now they can get some more damage onto this turret.
Looks like they are going to get it. Wave has other things to say about it, though. Jumping in with that afterburn.
Gauntlet missing there on that Rona, just barely.
Would have been a kill.
That stun, yeah. That would have been it for her life.
Uh-oh. Hopefully just it's a problem with our clean feed and not the game itself. Okay, everything's fine, everything's fine. Everybody relax, everything's okay.
You got me freaking out a bit there, Wolf, be careful.
So, at now about 11 minutes into the game, a pretty massive gold lead. I think, just looking at my screen here, about 2,000 gold, as well as that payout that's about to occur.
Crystalline Fusion being bought by the Rona, looking to take a big fight, and IDO all pushing together up the lane. They could be caught out here.
They very well may. Jewel taking a lot of damage already. And down goes Boy Cry. Oh, I always say it right before it happens. Well, these guys are professionals, they get away. And NDW, though, definitely going to go down here. Now, Shalwi needs to get out. Not going to be able to tank his way through this one, even as Arden taking so much damage from the Heliogenesis.
Little Andy wants that kill. He's actually sprinting in. We're missing this at
He's
the
like
moment.
off screen. He's like, nah, I'm going for it. Oh! Didn't happen, though.
Just barely gonna miss. If he got hit by that lead star, that probably would have been a kill. But
yeah, they're still going to get the turret for this pretty easily, and we'll be able to steal the jungle farm on their way out. We're seeing Guest again, when they have these advantages, just take everything away from IDO, leaving them nothing but not even scraps.
Yeah. I would say they're fooling around, but they're also doing a good job of cleaning everything up, as you did mention. Celeste has so much staying power with that Void battery, just never losing too much energy. Is going to go back finally. Going to finish a heavy prism there, just get a bit more crystal power on the way.
Yeah. Ooh, going to go in here and engage. And then DW taking so much damage. Big red button totally wasted. And I foresee a bad, unhappy ending here for IDO after this fight. Don't forget, Arden still has his gauntlet. He misses it, though.
Even with the kinetic shield, you could see, or kinetic shield on the glaive, you could see how much damage a Crystal Power Rona will do, how much burst damage, I should say. Weapon Power Rona is more about sustain, never dying, life steal, you get that red mist down, but just a huge burst potential from the Rona. As we do see her doing a little celebration.
Ooh, Shalwi taking a lot of damage here. And this is again happening all underneath the turret, but the turret isn't going to last very long. Down it goes. And Shalwi will finally fall. And Celestia's again doing so much more damage. There goes the Solar Storm. And this is a double kill for Rona. And we might see an ace. Boy Cry just barely getting out of there in time. He's trying to bait them into the turret.
Just barely not going to go down, but it looks like it's not really going to matter. This should be the game going to Guest.
7,000 gold lead at 13.5 minutes. Even though the last game was much more flashy, this game ends up being much more one-sided. And that is going to be a 2-0 victory here for Guest, mirroring, doing the opposite of what they did versus their previous opponents. So they will gain 3 points. IDO, on the other hand, having a second rough time there in game 2, and will walk away with 0 in their first match.
So there you have it, guys. Guess they keep their hopes alive. You know, getting the 2 wins there, they get 3 points. They're actually exactly tied now with ETW. Of course, they've played 2 matches so far. So I'm really excited what they're going to be able to do towards the end. Of course, they do have, I think, DMG as their last opponent, which is, of course, I would say the favorite out of the tournament, for the tournament, as you say. So it's going to be hard for them, but maybe if they could get 1 match, they could get 4 points and maybe stay in this. So things are not over yet for Guest.
Well, guys, we are going to have yet another 15-minute break before we go to our third match, and we'll see you then.